Okay, great. I guess the next question is, how is specifically working at Disney different from working at other companies?
All right, I'll just read off my answer and then maybe elaborate. My previous work experiences included working at a small hedge fund startup after my bachelor's, which isn't as glamorous as it sounds. After that, I went to grad school and then got a job as a data scientist consultant, which was a lot of travel and generally not great either. Um, Disney's definitely been the best out of all my work experiences with the quality and the interest in the work, good colleagues, and a great company in general. Overall, I'd say working with the product is always more rewarding than working in finance or consulting, in my opinion. But I think those are probably the like three main fields you can go into for data analytics or data science. So it's like tech stuff mostly, or finance or consulting.
So you did consulting and it wasn't really your cup of tea. Like, why?
Consulting, well, I worked at Capgemini, which is like a huge French consulting company, and I had a client project. Like you have client projects as a consultant, and you have to travel often. So my client was located in Alabama, and I had to go there for a couple months, like Monday through Thursday. I had to fly to Alabama, and that kind of sucked. So
So you had to fly there like weekly?
yeah, weekly. So
Oh,
Monday
wow.
through Thursday would stay in like a hotel, and then Friday would come back, work from home, or like go into the office in the city or whatever it is.
Oh my
Actually,
God.
yeah. So compared to that, with Disney, I onboarded virtually. So I actually haven't met any of my colleagues in person as of yet because I started last summer. So yeah, it's been during COVID, so it's been crazy. Um,
Wow. And
yeah.
what kind of work did you do as like a consultant?
Okay, so as a data scientist consultant, there was also the projects are within like data analytics, I'd say. So my consulting client project was as a data analyst at a insurance company. Um, so it was like building ETL pipelines, working a lot with SQL, so kind of not very exciting stuff. Um, the thing about consulting is you don't actually get to work with the product, which is something that I kind of value. Um, I think similarly, finance might not be as like rewarding for everyone, but I think a lot of people start in finance and merge into like data science or whatever it may be.
Okay, great. So the next question is, so at Disney right now, you said like it's the best gig that you've ever done. If you can't disclose too much, what are some projects that your team is up to?
Yeah, sure. I don't know like the like I think the only things I can't disclose are like upcoming, I don't know, products or whatever that Disney's planning on releasing, but I don't know how much I know about that either. Um, but pretty much I can tell you about my team. Oh, that was actually a question. All right, I'm just gonna read off my answer.
Sure.
I'm on the instrumentation team, so we work on designing clickstream events with the product teams and analytics, getting the engineers to implement these events, and finally testing them for data quality issues. Um, that's probably a lot, and it doesn't make a lot of sense, but pretty much there's a lot of with Disney Plus or Hulu or like ESPN Plus, they're all under Disney. They've actually been merged recently, and there's a lot of clickstream events. So meaning like metadata that we basically structure into events for analytics to use in their like kind of tracking and like calculating churn. So churn is kind of like when we have a bunch of subscribers, right? And you want to maintain the subscribers. So that's like one of the main metrics in streaming that you would look for. So that's kind of example. So some events that I worked on specifically. So I worked on this deep linking event, which is basically we had I don't know if you guys have seen like the PS5 remote or anything or Roku remote. I think they have Disney Plus buttons now. So like a lot of money is spent by Disney to place those buttons with partners, and there was no event to track like the clicks. So I pretty much worked on an event that uh, does that exact thing. So it tracks the clicks, and we can see if like um, basically it paid off essentially. So it's pretty cool. Um, I think wherever you go in tech, there'll be something like this or finance. But yeah,
That's awesome. Someone in the chat wrote, were you an independent consultant or did you work for a consulting agency and how did you get into it?
yeah. So I work for a consulting company, Capgemini. They're like a big French consulting company. But I think outside of finance or like insurance, not a lot of people really know about it. Consultants in general, but um, independent consultant. Let's see. How did I get into consulting? Well, um, in grad school, I applied. So like I had a referral also from my coworker and like colleague, well, student in Stony Brook. Like we worked together and we were in the same program. And he graduated like a semester early, so he referred me. Yeah, I think that's actually probably the best way if you can like look up somebody from Stony Brook or whatever and have them refer you because that at least will get your application viewed by somebody rather than it potentially be just like filtered out by a machine or whatever. So that's my kind of minor advice.
Okay, great. So the next question is like, what do you do exactly on a day-to-day basis? And how much programming do you use? And how much of your day like goes to programming?
Um, so okay, let's do the programming stuff, I guess. Well, okay, first of all, like SQL and Python, you should probably know if you want to go into data analytics. Data analyst roles would definitely require more SQL, depending on what you're doing, and then data scientist, you need to know like Python very well and like get some machine learning projects or something, ideally. Um, but yeah, those two languages. The programming I do is mostly involves there's some documentation. Well, I work mostly with GitHub, so if you're not, you should probably familiarize yourself with that because a lot of like tech companies right now, especially working remotely, a lot of the things are done through Git. So like learn terminal, learn Git commands ideally. Um, so that's I think Linux. What would you recommend to trying to gain experience? Oh, was this one of the questions? I feel like this was one of the questions. Undergrad freshman trying to gain. Okay, I got distracted. Lolita, you you gotta keep me on track with what questions I should.
The one that you just read in the chat is looks good. Yeah, experience in data science. That's a good question. For like anyone in their undergrad years. Because like as AMS majors, we take a lot of like theoretical courses. So like,
Mm.
what would you recommend to someone who's in college that like wants to do this stuff hands on?
Oh yeah, I mean, if you like, you're not gonna be using as much, I think, theoretical knowledge unless you go into grad school and go into like R&D, data scientist science and get a PhD. So I would like, if you want to get a job after a bachelor's or a master's, you should probably like try to bulk up your technical skill. Specifically, like when I was studying for interviews, it would be like lead code. Um, SQL, Python problems. So they're not like super difficult, but you just need to like sit and like get through them so you can at least pass the technical interview. And after then, it's a lot about like communication and just like uh as soon as you can get some interview practice, like the sooner you can, the better, I think. So don't worry about like getting rejected. It's just all practice.